As The Handmaid's Tale approaches its conclusion with Season 6, there's a prevailing theory that Nick might meet his end while trying to save Hannah. However, I have a growing suspicion that it could actually be Luke who faces this fate. But before we get into this, if you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button, drop a like and comment on the video, and if you're able, please sign up for channel memberships for exclusive content, which really helps us out. Anyway, let's get back to the bleak world of Gilead. So, since escaping Gilead, June's primary objective has been to rescue Hannah, yet after several seasons, she and Luke remain no closer to achieving this goal. Consequently, the characters are likely to resort to extreme measures in the final season, raising concerns that Luke's life may be at stake. After their harrowing journey into Gilead in the first 3 episodes of Season 6, June, Moira and Luke are already contemplating a return just 1 episode after reaching safety. They realize that significant actions are necessary to save Hannah and dismantle Gilead, especially as the oppressive regime continues to exert its influence globally. While hope still lingers, it increasingly appears that June and Luke's struggle may not conclude favorably for them. Throughout the series, one of June's greatest allies has been Nick, who transitioned from a driver to an eye and eventually to Commander Blaine, all while remaining steadfastly loyal to June. He's facilitated escapes for June and others and is actively working to help her rescue Hannah from within Gilead, yet, with each passing season, Nick inches closer to being discovered, leading many fans to speculate that he may not survive until the end, as his acts of treason could soon be unveiled, especially after what happened in episode 6. Interestingly, the narrative of The Handmaid's Tale Season 6 has cast doubt on this theory. In the first 4 episodes, the commanders have primarily focused on Commander Lawrence's New Bethlehem initiative, largely distancing the antagonists from June and Mayday's endeavors. If The Handmaid's Tale doesn't shift direction soon, Nick might find himself safe by the series' conclusion. He appears to have no involvement in any forthcoming efforts to rescue Hannah, which could ultimately spare his life. While Nick may appear secure, it increasingly seems that the significant death in Season 6 could be Luke. Throughout Seasons 5 and 6, Luke has grown more reckless in his pursuit of Hannah. He's chosen to participate in numerous missions alongside Moira, venturing into Gilead during the initial 3 episodes. This is particularly concerning given that Luke is far less acquainted with Gilead's environment than June and Moira, suggesting he may not be adequately equipped to face its dangers. Luke's response to the truck driver in Season 5 and his approach to getting June into the train indicate his readiness to sacrifice himself for his family. Unfortunately, this willingness could lead to his demise, as he may find himself in a position where he must choose between his own life and Hannah's. Luke is now more committed than ever to rescuing Hannah, as highlighted in his discussions during Season 6 Episode 4. In earlier episodes, he was more of a bystander while the US government and Mayday took the lead. However, following the unsuccessful plane rescue in Season 5, Luke's perspective has shifted. He expresses a strong desire to venture into Gilead himself to save Hannah, declaring, "We gotta try," in Episode 4. In the same episode, Luke acknowledges that rescuing Hannah is an impossible dream, yet this realization doesn't deter him. Rather, it underscores his understanding that the chances of failure outweigh the chances of success. Luke might persist in his efforts to save Hannah until the last breath, which could lead to a heartbreaking conclusion for The Handmaid's Tale. While Luke's potential demise would be tragic, it aligns with the narrative of the show. June's death, on the other hand, would not serve the story well. It would feel like an unsatisfactory conclusion to her long journey, as she would leave this world without ever experiencing happiness, even if she achieved her goals. Conversely, sparing all the characters from death would also feel unrealistic. It would be unjust for June to attain everything she desires at the conclusion of The Handmaid's Tale, especially considering the countless victims of Gilead who have suffered immense losses. Eliminating Luke creates a striking equilibrium. As a central figure in The Handmaid's Tale, Luke holds immense significance for June. His demise would deeply affect both June and the viewers, marking a genuine tragic loss at the series' conclusion. If Luke sacrifices himself to save Hannah, he may find a sense of victory in his final moments, yet it would still be heartbreaking considering his long wait for June. Sadly, it seems unlikely that Luke will manage to rescue Hannah from Gilead. Hulu is already developing a sequel to The Handmaid's Tale called The Testaments, based on Margaret Atwood's 2019 follow-up novel. This story unfolds years after the original, with Hannah still trapped in Gilead, meaning she cannot escape by the end of The Handmaid's Tale, as it would undermine the narrative of The Testaments. This scenario paves the way for a sorrowful conclusion to The Handmaid's Tale, as June is unlikely to achieve her desires. Should Luke die, June would be left profoundly isolated, having lost both her husband and her first child. The Handmaid's Tale has always been bleak, but this potential ending could amplify the despair.